Welcome to the December 2024 edition of the Tough Love Arena State of the Game stream. I am your host, Paul. Sorry for the awkward pause. I'm a little under the weather, but very excited to share with you the state of the game. What's new with Tough Love Arena? What did we accomplish last month? What do you, as our wonderful audience and players, have to look forward to? As per usual, we will go through the slides. We'll review the monthly survey at the end. I'll have a brief update for Scramble Hard City, and then we'll do Q&A with chat. Let's jump in. So, past. What did we do since the last day of the game stream in early November? Some miscellaneous work on updating old text pages that I haven't touched in years. Specifically, I updated FAQ. I think at a certain point I removed one of these pages that didn't make sense anymore. I had a dev stream early in the month where I took modding requests. That seems to be a fun thing to do every once in a while. So fixing some bugs and adding some additional behavior. And my latest Tough Love Arena project that's kind of had me busy off stream for the last 2 weeks is we are pretty much officially going to have a second Tough Love Arena cabinet. A buyer commissioned one, saw the one that we had at Wonderville, reached out to the Wonderville owner and said, hey, I want to get a couple cabinets for this venue I'm setting up. I want this, 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 and this, and Tough Love was one of them. So I have been setting up and trying to optimize a cheap way to consoleize Tough Love Arena, because for the one-off prototype cab, we just used a bunch of equipment that Mark, the wonderful proprietor of Wonderville, had lying around. And now I've got this. It's the second cab, so I'm calling it Rice. It has this Rice sticker. This is a mini PC, a B-Link, costs like $160, and it runs the game like a dream. So I've got it actually running on Linux. This boots, if you just plug in the power supply, it boots into Ubuntu, and then auto starts the game on startup. Hence, consoleized. Perfect for being put into an arcade cabinet, so they just have to turn the power on and off every day, and you have the game. So lots of invisible work on setting up that tooling, documenting that process, and so making it so I can easily make more of these if I ever want to. This might be a better way of taking the game to events than carting around a bunch of laptops I have to awkwardly get through TSA. Stuff like that. So, and these are cheaper than laptops. So, very exciting little project here. I might have mentioned something about it a couple months ago when the buyer first expressed interest, but it's only sort of advanced in the last week or so. So that's been keeping me busy. Next. Present. What is the current state of the game? It's good. I saw someone in chat mentioned during the stream setup that they're going to deluge me with balance requests, but no balance changes are currently planned at this time. Just like to make that explicit every stream. I have talked in previous Q&As, and I'll probably talk later in this one, about some balance changes I'd like to make, or some slight gameplay tweaks I'd like to make, like specifically around how jump cancels work. But nothing that I feel like I have to do right now to adjust a critical existential issue with game balance. Moving on. Future. What do you have to look forward to in the future for Tough Love Arena? So, birthday tournament. As always, we have an online official tournament every 3 months, and this will be our third birthday tournament in January. Fourth birthday tournament, because this is going to be in January 2025. The game first came out in January 2021, and we started. I think our first. This pattern started with we had the one-off April Fool's one because I just wanted to do a joke for April Fool's, and then Halloween seemed like a fun one to theme around and to do custom skins for, and then the birthday seemed like something worth celebrating, And then Amy and I noticed the pattern of the fact that there's 3 months between Halloween and birthday, or Halloween and January, and 3 months between January and April. And then we've now finally plugged that hole with the summer tournament with its own skins and everything. Anyways, this has been a tradition going on for many years now. So we will have a birthday tournament. I unfortunately am not ready to announce the dates yet because I just need to double check with my TOs on what dates work best for them. But it will probably be a Friday in early January. So stay tuned on our socials or in our Discord, and you'll get more information about that and like a link to the bracket. It will almost certainly be after the January State of the Game stream, so we'll be announcing it last minute there as well. And as always, birthday skins will be up for grabs. Matcherino, I think, maybe depending on interest. We'll see. Upcoming dev work, same story it's been for a little while. I'm just continuing to when I'm not getting distracted with mod requests, very slowly chip away on the arcade and story mode and make small improvements to the AI. And I think I'll mention this here. So it was my original plan and mission to try to really like hunker down and try and finish both of these things this month. I determined that I was going to give myself a break from the new game, Scramble, which is my full-time job and has been for the past year. And I would try to set aside a bunch of time to work full-time on Tough Love Arena. And it's December 10th, and so far I've spent the last 10 days basically resting. And I still have meetings that I have to attend for the new game, and I still have like business obligations beyond coding since I'm running development for it. So I can't 100% step away. And it's been really nice with how much we were crunching in October for events and in November for the playtest to have this time off. So I will be working on Tough Love Arena later this month. I will be doing dev streams for it. But even with all this rest, I'm feeling kind of under the weather today. So I don't want to promise anything. But just keep your eyes peeled on like the Discord, or if you follow this Twitch channel you're watching right now, unless you're watching the VOD. I'll be going live and doing some Tough Love streams either later this week or early next week, or definitely after Christmas. I'm going to be on holiday like the week before Christmas. So the actual like Tuesday night thing, I'm not sure if I'll be able to maintain this with my travel schedule. I'll keep you all posted. But the goal is to try and get this stuff done, and I would love to get the game out of beta in the next month or two to coincide with the 4th anniversary tournament. So you have that to look forward to. That's not written on this slide because it's still a little up in the air. I don't want to be overly optimistic and make promises. My butt write checks my butt can't cash, whatever the expression is. But that is my plan. That is my goal. Yeah. Excited to have that done. One other thing, I guess I should have mentioned this in my past work. I've been looking into updating the Steam page. I haven't actually made any changes yet, but I've been writing down plan changes and preparing assets for when we switch it to out of beta. We're going to do a big overhaul, because when you take the game out of early access, that Steam gives it another algorithm bump, and it's insane how much our sales improved during the autumn sale when we were a part of the fighting game sale that lasted a week and coincided with Evo. Our Steam sales were 8x what they normally are, at least 5x. You can find out more if you subscribe to our Patreon, which I will put the link in chat right now. Donate. There we go. I have all the fun financial information there if you ever want to take a look. But New York City, baby. But yeah, lots of little work that needs to be done in order to get this thing released. I'm very excited to cross that threshold. Why are the cops after you? They're after me because I'm giving the Scramble Hard City update. So very briefly, Again, I think now that we're starting... Well, I'll just say the update. The playtest went very well. For those who don't know, we had to play... So many noises. Now I don't know if it's coming through on the camera, but there was like flashes coming through the window. We had a Scramble Heart City playtest, our first online playtest, the weekend after the Thanksgiving, the weekend that bridged November, December. There were a lot of technical issues, but overall, but we were able to fix a bunch of them. I got a lot of good data, a lot of good information on people's machines and what sort of performance bottlenecks we have, and people seemed pretty positive about it. And now that we're starting to have that sort of content and have that sort of more regular fan engagement, I'll probably be setting up a State of the Game stream for Scramble Heart separate from this and put it on the Scramble Heart YouTube channel and all that stuff. So if you're interested in that, if you missed the last one and you want to check out the new one, we'll probably do another one sometime in January, February. Basically, as soon as I want to wait until we make significant improvements on the stability. And we know what to do, it's just going to take time. So, cautiously optimistic that we'll have some of the issues fixed or at least mitigated within the next month or two. And then we'll be able to do in our test and see, for people who the game crashed a lot, how it runs now. That kind of stuff. Let's do the monthly survey. Let me just... Wait. Sorry, Twitch Fun. Google Forms changed how it works. I don't like it anymore. That message is wrong. Okay. I'm old and I don't like change. All right. I know that. Oh God. Oh, this is all right. It won't let me scroll past that, will it? Okay. Is there a better way of displaying this that doesn't have this annoying top fourth of my screen taken up? Probably not. All right, we'll just zoom a little. Apologies. Figuring out live. So, how fun do you think Tough Love Arena is to play? Still positive. Easy, positive. Depth, positive. Recommend, or repeat, positive. Recommend, positive. Recommend, positive. Normal numbers for those charts. Thank you everyone who filled them out. Again, these are my canary in the coal mine in case suddenly I get big negatives on these. Those are cause for alarm. Noodle is currently considered to be above average strong and above average fun. Let's come back and do all the comments at the end. So let's do a brief overview of all the characters. Whereas Rice is closer to average, but still above average strong and above average fun. Beef is very strong and very fun. Pork is above average strong and very fun. Onion is very strong and fun. Garlic is very strong and fun. All pretty consistent with previous months. Now let's go more in depth. So, Noodle. Nerf Trample. Zoner with super fast burst speed attack. What? So I realized that they are like... I understand the request. I think this is interesting that Noodle is still identified as a zoner. And I probably describe them myself that way sometimes because they have longer range than 2/3 of the cast. But I've definitely been trying to move their identity further away from strictly zoning. And I think they have a Rekka and all sorts of other unconventional approach tools. So I understand this sort of confusion. I don't think that's necessarily wrong for their kit, though. People in chat saying Trample is silly. I'm going to assume that's a good thing. Just the Noodle jump cancel rework against parries. For those who don't know, jump cancels are because jump attacks are like an auto attack that come out at the same time every time. You have a second action in the air called the jump cancel, which goes into an alternate attack. For most of the cast, this results in the second attack having a slightly different timing, or being a projectile, or being an empty jump, such that it will be a mix-up on people who try to do parries against your jumping, because suddenly you're hitting later and the parry is mistimed, or you're hitting them in a way that the parry doesn't handle at all. Noodle is uniquely not doing that, and the parry timing is the same for their normal jump and their jump cancel. I consider that an oversight. I would like to amend that. And or this could be fixed with how we do a larger overhaul of jump cancels. But I agree that this is, not good and should be addressed one way or another. I think they're very balanced. Make a little RBC frenzy earlier so people can't just guaranteed burst out of it on hit. So being able to RC frenzy because they're bursting. The way I would do this instead is I can make it that you cannot burst the first 4 hits in the same way that you can't burst out of the middle of caber toss. I would be open to doing that. I think I'd want to play test and see if it feels kind of confusing, oh, my burst isn't working. But given that the first 4 hits I think are pretty uninterruptible, and you can only RC on the final hit, the launch hit, it might make sense to just move the burst there, the point at which you can burst there, and then you can RC to burst bait. So that could work. Interesting suggestion. Thank you. Spot restand. Yeah, maybe. I think I mentioned when SWAT was originally made, the whole concept of restanding and trying to do something when you land didn't work at all. That might be possible now. It might fix some issues. I'm open to it. I'm open to reevaluating that. SWAT anti-air, please. This is people talking about SWAT should behave differently when it's done raw. I've gone back and forth on that. I think Rice is still strong, but that might just be because the game encourages jumps for approaches, and Rice is very good at anti-airing. The 4S 5H cancel is devastating, but probably fair. Nice. Please make Carp 5L not have more recovery on width than the other jabs. Could you make it auto cancel on contact, but you could still whiff cancel it into the second hit of slap if wanted? Interesting. I think this would be. We've experimented in the past with splitting the jabs up. There was if people remember, multi-slap. At a certain point, you could cancel slap into itself, or empty cancel it. I think I've tried this a few different ways. I think I've tried it a few ways on April Fool's patches. Every time I've tried to change slap and just have only the first hit, or potentially only hit, I don't like the game feel. It is admittedly definitely easier to whiff punish than other characters, but I'm currently okay with that as something that gives the matchup a unique texture. Beef changes. Damage on Lemon is big. I can't remember. Did I not add? Is Lemon Starter still ideal because it doesn't have any sort of scaling penalty? I might be down. I might be open to adding a scaling penalty when used as a starter, like DPs. Nerf Lemon. They can't whiff punish it with pokes, and you can RC for all the R options, so it's just the best unpunishable neutral option in the world. With the only weakness being a little bit slow, but even staying far away from the opponent means they can't punish it in that startup in time because they're too far away, and Lemon Fake just means it's even harder to punish. So good and so safe. It is good. I hear you. Working as intended. But I'm glad that you do recognize, and it is clear to you that it does have weaknesses. And it is best max screen, which encourages the opponent to approach. Beav is a good boy. I agree. Why is Palm Chop only punishable at range by the meats? I think this is talking about the fact that right now, Palm Chop... Chop, in general, is only punishable by lights. I think we reverted that. Sweeps can't punish it anymore. And meats just have the farthest 5 ring button. Yeah, I think that's just a matchup texture thing that I'm okay with. I would be curious for someone like the Carbs if potentially you can't just punish it with throw, which has the same startup. So you can explore that as an option. I don't know off the top of my head if throw range is bigger than the first slap. But I know the Carbs have the largest throw range, so that's why it might. Oh, throw doesn't hit extended hurt boxes. Very true, Table. Thank you. That would make it not really work. Good point. Nerf chop, it's safer than palm. What? Frenzy, but safe on block. What? Please fix it. It is not frenzy, but safe on block because it is conditionally safe on block, and it is not frame 1 invul. So I do agree that it having like better frame advantage than palm, if true. Again, I don't remember off the top of my head. We can just check. Palm is -8. Chop is -7. I'd be open to potentially reverting this. Making this more like a -5 or something. I don't know if I love the fact that it's punishable by sweep right now. I do think that is a little odd that it is less safe than the armored move. It has more pushback. It's the situation is more safe, but having even worse frame advantage is, I think, a little confusing. Caber should auto-tech if hit by other throws during startup, same as regular throw. I think this is the intention, but it doesn't always work. Let me check. Or someone with better memory in chat can volunteer the answer while I'm pulling this up. I think auto tech is something I set. Right. Right. I think I was trying to remember past Paul's decision making. I'm open to that. I think I would have to... I don't know if I could have it be frame 1 tech, because then you could Kara cancel it into something else. You could do like wake up, caber, and then 1 to 2 frames later press forward or back to Kara cancel it into chop or jump, and it would suddenly give... I mean, it would give chop at least the ability to tech throws if someone tried to do a meaty throw. So the workaround, yeah, that's how Kara cancels work. You spend 1 frame doing caber toss, and then the next frame it realizes you pressed left or backwards, and so it changes it to... it cancels it into chop, but it's an OS because if I'm not being interacted with, the cancel will happen. But if it just checks on the frame I get up that I'm doing caber and I tech, then the tech animation will just ignore my pressing back. Onion can do this with hop kick to get a slightly further jump. No way. We're going to the lab. And oops. Onion. Oops, wrong button. Okay, that's where I was confused too. I thought it was like, does it go forward and then back and then forward? So I could do like 2 frames of sliding and then hold forward, and then I will carry cancel into jump. So if a normal jump here has like that kind of spacing, it's difficult to do intentionally because it is very tight. So I would have to be careful of stuff like that, but open to it. It would be cool if Port could cable the cable run at any point during the run. No, this would not be cool. This would make it way too strong. It is, I think, very important that if you jump, you get full combo. You get full punish on him. It would be cool for Port, admittedly, but not cool for the game. Chop restands. Only on raw jumping, not tumbling, for more consistent rewarding punishes. Interesting. Interesting. That would give Pork an incentive to go for chop over jump, because jump is way more consistent anti-air. And the combo would still be skilled because it would be a reversal starter. Interesting. Thank you. Long jump is too easy. Anti-air. Someone anti-aired my long jump with trip. Yes, that is. Let's do P2 onion. Let's do the mirror real quick. Trip used to be an amazing anti-air. He used to trade with all sorts of crap. So this is the hitbox on Trip now. He used to like go up to his waist, and that was because for the longest time I had this unoptimal juggle that I really liked doing. Wait. Do, like that, because it would give you slightly different timing than like going into roundhouse or something. And I want to make that juggle consistent, but now the hitbox is down there. That's why the hitbox isn't even lower, because I do want you to be able to juggle into it for different setups or something. But the long jump looks like this. That's the problem. It takes so long to come out. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That, yeah, it could hit by anything. I'd be open to reevaluating the hurt box there. It doesn't have to be that low. Like, what are you hitting? His fart? I think making it beat Trip is a fair buff. By the way, just checking audio capture. Is any noise coming through? Can't remember if this is just like muted. Oh. Okay. Cool. So, open to doing this. Sweep -3 instead of -2. Meet 5H beats sweep sweep instead of trading, and carb 5H trades. This is also interesting. I will think about this. Thank you. That is interesting. I'm gonna do Gut Swag and make Hop Kick a skilled starter. No, it is very much meant to not be a skilled starter. It has very long startup. It is crazy when you do like eat Hop Kick into infinite damage, but oh, thank you, Graham. But no, that's working as intended. Garlic. Make dashing back and forth rapidly a little easier to punish. My eyes glazed over and I just started reading other comments. I don't know if that's necessary because the dash back and forth is like pretty committal. You just run into buttons if you do it close up. If you sneak as fast as possible, what is that effective start? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you go untangible on, let's say, 15, 16, 17-ish, in case I lost count. I think that is enough vulnerability. I understand that sneak is annoying, but sneak is just annoying. It's just paper cuts. So it's okay. Just block the sneak and then press. What about TLA originally appealed to you? Easy to learn, good characters, and the accessibility. Thank you. What keeps you playing TLA? Very fun to learn and implement new stuff. Community, and I need a TLG. Let's go. I believe in you, whoever this is. What upcoming event and or game feature are you most looking forward to? Slide puzzle race. Or amount completed. Tough Love Gauntlet. Very nice. Have you shared TLA with your friends? Very fun. Picked it up and went all right, but didn't stick. Totally fair. Thank you for trying. Any other thoughts? Slide puzzle leaderboard. Thank you. Paul, please finish TLA before Scramble Heart City, please. Amy is doing all right too. Not sure what that means. Keep up the good work. We're definitely going to finish Tough Love before we finish Scramble Heart. Yes, my goal is to finish Tough Love very soon. And then, okay, I don't want to show that part because that's people's personal info. This is a fun thing I'm willing to explore post launch. Yeah, tables. It's a table. Amy's doing all right. That concludes the survey. So now we go to the Q&A. Transition nothing to nothing. Okay, where is it? There we go. So starting now, if you have any questions, and I'll also take Scramble Heart questions, feel free to post them after this point. If you asked a question earlier, I will not be scrolling back up, so please just ask it again. Graham asks, as a question for Scramble Heart City, what's your perfect Sunday, and what's your perfect Sunday? A question I'm pretty sure Graham asked me like 4 years ago. I don't remember what I said back then. It's probably in a VOD somewhere. My favorite dessert sundae is classic vanilla fudge. No fruit, maybe caramel, but vanilla and fudge is more than enough. And my perfect Sunday as a day, I think my ideal Sunday is I do spend a little time for myself, whether that's enjoying a hobby, cleaning in a way that, you know, I'm happy, I'm like tidying up and feeling better about my space, or working on a game or a project, and a little bit of social time. I think it's really easy for me to like not go outside on the weekends. So a little bit of me time, a little bit of social time, maybe go out for dinner, that kind of thing. That's a nice Sunday. I'd like if that was my Sunday for the rest of my life. A nice meal, and come home and play a video game or do a jigsaw or work on a game. Kerbal Kick says, Sorry. I scarfed down dinner like right before the stream started. That's why I've been kind of burpy. Excuse me. Kerbokek asks, Paul, what's your opinion on the current state of modders not modding the modders? Assuming Kerbo means the people in the channel currently making mods for Tough Love Arena. I'm not well informed enough to have specific opinions on any one in specific, just that I love what y'all do. I think it's super cool that you're still interested. It's super fun to check the channel when I do the mod request streams and see everyone go nuts with ideas. And I would love to do April Fools again with you all. So I'll be reaching out soon. Soon meaning like February. About who could potentially be involved with that. Yeah. Maybe we could even do, if there's enough interest, we could do like runner-ups or something. That wouldn't be like in the main playable game, but could be like accessible via the modding menu or something. I don't know. I like them. That's my opinion. Kevin says, so sneak invuln on frame 16. Carb 5H has 10 frame startup. Need to react at most 6 frames late. I mean, you're not reacting to sneak. Sorry. And like, that's just my average input delay, so it's unreactable. Kevin. I see what you mean. If the goal is to react to dash and be able to whip it, that I don't think is something I want to support. At range, you should be able to react to dash or like if a dash is happening. Sorry, it's designed in such a way that if they do a dash full screen, you could react with like a light attack, and that would beat the sneak by the time that it actually teleports and comes out. That is the idea. That's how it's supposed to work. Be with sneak starting on frame 16, human reaction times usually being, last I remember, somewhere between like 16 and 22 frames. And then the idea if they like dash into nothing, if they're really far away, then you whiffed probably with low consequence. If they're at a range where they could threaten like dash in a roundhouse, then that's its own RPS. So that's it. I hear you. I understand your frustrations. That is currently working as intended. Table asks, do you really believe Onion has enough weaknesses? I was in Round Horse a bit ago, and Onion was represented by 5 out of 8 players. That's an interesting way to frame it. Does Onion have enough weaknesses? I do think an important part of design, and I'm realizing this more in my old age, and I'm trying to be very intentional about it with Scramble Heart, but I do think an important part of character design is their weaknesses, is their gaps. And there are definitely characters with bigger gaps than others. Beef, I think, has the least gaps probably in the whole cast. The least weaknesses. What is Onion's weakness? Onion is relatively stubby, although they do have walk speed and they have hop kick. They definitely don't want for damage. And they definitely don't really want for up close pressure. So, and tied for fastest jump. Yeah. They're definitely strong. But I'm also getting less and less. How to phrase this? For the first year, 2 years, 5 years, for most of Tough Love Arena's development and public development and competitive lifespan, I have followed the truism of when a character is represented too much in a tournament, that is usually an indicator that the character is too strong, and I'll try to make an adjustment. But it's also very likely and very possible for Onion to be overrepresented, not because they are the strongest character, but because their playstyle aligns with the interests of enfranchised users. And that is something that I don't think I want to balance patch my way out of. Because at that point you are just punishing players for enjoying a character or their playstyle. I'm not saying that's necessarily exactly what's happening here, but it's a pattern I found myself falling into, and despite having seen other developers do it for the last 20 years and judging them for it, and here I am doing it myself because it's easy. It's very clear. Like, okay, this character's too strong, so they're the one I'll bring down, and the one who's not in top 8 at all, they're the one I'll bring up. But sometimes you just have a situation where I think a character is strong. I know Rice is like the weakest they've been in a while, but even when they were really, say, at their peak for like, I want to say that was most of 2023. We didn't have a bunch of Rice players, and I think that's just like a personality thing. So I do think that the Spices representation is more correlated to personality fit. So when I see something like a statistic like 5 out of 8 Onions and Round Horse in top 8, that's less alarming to me than it was before. Now, granted, it's still not desirable per se, and I wish that there was more character diversity in the tournament scene. And this is also just a consequence of having a small roster. But those are my many varied and complicated thoughts on your question. Hope there was something new or interesting or valuable in there for you, Table, and if not, for other people. Graham clarifies on the Sunday question that he's cross-referencing the answers to make sure I'm not lying. You answered well enough that the class curve brought you up to a pass. Well done. Thank you, Graham. Shiny Ninja, are you planning to add mid-arcade minigames? Oh, like break the car kind of thing? That is not the current plan. That will not be a blocker to launch. The problem is the current arcade mode and the plan for arcade mode just isn't long enough to really justify them. The current plan is that arcade mode is just 4 matches. It's just character, boss. Whereas when you're running through like an 8 to 10 character gauntlet, like in Street Fighter 2, it is nice to have something, breaking up the pace every 2 or 3 games. Something I could potentially add down the road, but I will not consider it a blocker to getting to release, and is not currently planned. Yeet Deck echoes that same thing. Shy Ninja says, did you know that oiled up garlic is a mod? I did not. I'm not surprised. Table clarifying the onion question. I see your comment about being frustrated. I do sympathize with that. Yeet Deck clarifies there is a car sprite already. Yes, in the same way that someone, I forget who it was, made like a mod that was a mini game of beating up the can of grape soda, but it is super low res, so like not really designed for that. Kevin says, oh, maybe add a little modding section at the end of the survey. I could be open to that, Kevin, if I want to have a place for specifically like modding feedback or requests outside of the channel, which I know I'm bad at checking. Graham says, only 5 months until April Fools. Get to work, modders. 200k lines of code is the minimum. For those who don't know, go to April Fools 2024.toughlovearena.com. Extras, advanced modding, Rice, Bazinga, 16,000 lines. That is not a challenge. You don't have to. You don't have to beat that. Eat Deck says, what if SWAT had no auto cancel so Rice could do fancy anti-air combos? Auto cancel, I assume you mean into like the slam. What would they do if not the slam? Because the first hit puts them into like a capture state that assumes slam will come next. Don't really understand. I can't picture this vision you have, Yeet Deck. If you want to try and explain it a little further. Also, sorry, the screen is shaking because I'm bouncing my leg. Let me try. Okay. For AF25, I think you should let Hitaka rework Secret Spice. Letting the modders potentially influence or contribute to boss characters could be interesting. That could be a very interesting idea. We have 3 more boss characters to make. Interesting. Meep says time to start modding SHC. Scramble said he will not have modding support in the same way that Tough Love Arena does for a long time because of all the many issues that Tough Love Arena had. But like Tough Love Arena, it is a browser game that you can try to open up and do stuff. Feel free. Catching up on chat. Some conversation about the Onion thing earlier that I did see live. Kevin clarifies maybe everyone just loves how Onion can skateboard. True. Graham chimes in, spices have always been the most popular regardless of power. Table asks, is maybe the case that every other character is too weak or not interesting enough? Again, regardless of like interest or depth, and I do think I've tried to add more and more tools to all the characters over the years. If anything, Onion has changed the least? Is that true? Parry has changed a few times, but that's like a pretty defensive mechanic. And Hopkick changed like a month after launch. But I don't think Onion has... Parry has changed a bunch. But I don't think Onion has really changed. Garlic has changed a lot. Garlic has gotten a lot of new dash options. Yeah, Eat Deck, I know what you mean. But anyways. Eat Deck S1's the great repowering. Shy Ninja asks, would you ever do an official mod tournament? That's essentially what April Fool's is now. Kerbo says we should nerf Onion and Garlic swag so less people play them. I would never take that joy from people. That's how you get people to quit your game. People asking for Break the Car. Shy Ninja says, Paul, just add my soda. Okay, so the Shy Ninja that made it. Add my soda can minigame in the middle of the arcade run. A Blanca to release? TLA confirmed acquired by Capcom. Catching up on chat, no questions. People just like reacting or talking to each other. Shy Ninja declares, if I get to work on next year's April Fools, I will make my character overpowered just because of the many complaints of Noodle being weak. Excellent strategy, Shy Ninja. Let's see if that works out for you. Kerbo says add wall bounces. Fuck no. I mean, having added wall bounces to Scramble Heart, they suck, dude. They suck. I don't like them. In order to make them feel good or work good, you have to add in camera controls. It's a difficult thing to get right. And I'm lazy. I don't know. Where's the value at? Keck says Boss Onion is just normal onion with extra damage. Doomerky says, would you be willing to give Palm Chop its validation as a frame trap? That is a very good point. If I change Palm, because I'm trying to make it, you know, more safe or less unsafe on block, that will change how Palm Chop works, because it's the same move, but suddenly it's doing more block stun or more hit stun. How does it work right now? And you can tell me in chat, but I'll also check it out for myself. Let's just turn on ever block, always block. So if I go so right now it does frame trap, and it looks like I'm pressing the wrong button. There it is. I think I could make Palm do a few more frames of block stun, and it would still frame trap on mash, but it wouldn't be like huge. And I guess you can cancel it pretty late. Like that's instant. Yeah. Sorry. Oh shit. I'm not showing it. I forgot to click the transition button. As I was saying, yes. So if I dial it in, nope. My hand wasn't on home row. If I dial it in, there is a gap during which they can be baited to mash and then lose because you have an armor move. That's it. That's even like too fast for armor. And then you could delay it. Oops. And there you do see the armor effect, and it frame traps because you're armoring through it. I don't understand I forget what the question was. Sorry. I just want a long range 5H Palm Chop Rekka. Oh, do you not like that it always has a gap because they could like parry it? Is that your complaint / request? The fact that they can do that? Or parry would always work. If we wanted to make it a true block string, that could potentially be a side effect of increasing the block stun, but if I increase the palm block stun that much, then I don't think it's going to work. Then that has bad implications for palm. Then you just like always do this up close, and it's like super safe. And anyways, and I'm not showing my screen again. I'm sorry. I was thinking about the fact that like palm does need to be minus because of this situation. I want to encourage players to do like palm at range as a little safe ender, but to not really do it point blank. Brain dead. This gets punished by sweep right now. So I don't know. I forget what we were talking about. Graham asks, when is Noodle becoming a puppet character? Never. Kerbo says, don't worry, Paul, we can already implement wall bounces via modding. Perfect. Shy Ninja says, question, I may have misunderstood, but did you say you were going to add 3 more bosses? I thought the plan was to make 3 bosses. I would like to, for release, I want to have 3 bosses. I don't see a reason not to make 6 bosses. I think it would be great for every arcade path to have a boss at the end, a unique boss at the end. Right now they're going to share. But it just hasn't been a high priority, so I haven't been working on it. I mean, I still I really want to redo Mystery Meat and Secret Spice, but it just, other things have been higher priority. So I'm definitely not, making more. People are trying to explain the palm chop thing. Just give palm a little bit of extended hurt boxes, please. That could potentially work. I think I got rid of them because it had that whole issue of you could punish with flick, but then the sweep would whiff. I think that's why they're not there. Also, you're not gonna. They would be there for punishing. They wouldn't be there for whiffing, because right now it's impossible to whiff palm. I think it's technically. Let's see. You could do. Even that reaches. It has so much more range than heavy, specifically to make sure that it always connects. If I go back and revisit that branch from 2 years ago where I just make palm a command normal, then we can talk about her boxes and all sorts of stuff. But that's not currently the plan. Table says, what if Caper had the same startup as normal throw at close range? My problem with that is then I don't think that there's a reason to do normal throw. And I want normal throw to have a purpose, and right now its purpose is being fast. Or switching sides. But when Caber was fast and close, that's fair for its range. It would still have range superiority. The other benefit to having the longer startup right now is that gives me some more time for it to cancel. So I don't think it needs to be super fast. Is basically my point. And yes, some characters have SPDs, but this is, or even Zangief's equivalent of this move does come out depending on your game, 2 frames up close. But I don't know. I've liked the move so much more now that it's turned into more of the running grab with a bunch of tick setups or flexible setups, or you don't have to be point blank to go for it for Oki, that I've been intentionally sort of de-emphasizing its role as an SPD. Kerbo says, I hate mashing 5-all to beat palm on block and getting outpaced. It's fine when I'm very clearly out of 5-all range, but at that fuzzy gray area where it feels like jab would land. Yeah, here, if I just do a single light, I'm out of range. And it looks like I shouldn't be. I'd be open to reevaluating that. Shine Ninja says, Paul, since moves can now re-juggle without affecting the juggle count, can you make it so that whip pounce launches higher, like when Noodle used to have whip loose from the anti-air? This would make 5HHH more consistent in some juggle situations. I would be very open to that change, Shine Ninja. That is a great suggestion. I didn't put two together, but you're absolutely right. For those who don't know, the second hit of whip used to always re-juggle to make sure that the juggle into the final hit was consistent. But that created these whip loops where you would combo into the second hit of whip, fully recover, and then go for a new one, which was not the intention. So I removed that re-juggle limit. But with the recent modding change I made a couple weeks ago, the engine now supports that. Supports the ability to launch at an angle without interacting with juggle points. So that would be a great place to put that. Kerbo asks, why is Palm -8 on block just be super hard to punish? The point of Palm being -8 on block but large pushback is that I want you to be able to use it as a poking tool. But if you do go for it and you get your free little chip, it is definitively not your turn anymore. That is why it is so minus, because that way I don't even want to make it close. No matter what matchup you are, like Noodle could do a whip here and it will beat whatever option you go for other than armor. That is why it's so minus. Even that might beat Chop because the armor isn't frame 1. So that is why it's so minus. Maybe it doesn't need to be that minus, but that was the intent. Paul, you gotta add. Etek says you gotta add juggles. Yeah, I'm open to that. That probably wouldn't be too much extra work. I'm also open to just like completely reworking the language of how juggles work, but that might involve like a complicated mod porting. I agree that it's built really backwards, so it's kind of confusing what combination of variables to set to get the desired outcome. It might be worth just completely like rewriting. Dumurkey says 5-frame caber also messed with current cancels with 5L5H, so those would have to be adjusted. Otherwise, you get 5L caber fake. That's like +5. Yeah. We could still move the caber fake to after it's active, which has its own ups and downs. Table says, I get what you mean. I don't want the caber hitbox and then canceling it to be that easy, even though it's already possible. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you, Table. Doomarkey says, Paul, opinion on caber fake anti-jump OS existing. I don't know what you're talking about. I assume it has to do with the fact that caber is active. So I assume you're saying like you go for meaty caber, you cancel it, you input the cancel just after the active frames, and then mash jump, and you have an OS. I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. Let me demonstrate that. The fact that in order to make caber fake, oops, what did I just do? In order to make caber fake not too restrictive and too difficult to time, else you suddenly start doing back special because you're trying to get carry cancel into it. In order to give this some leniency, you can do it past the startup frames. So active, 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 and then I can go back. Basically, you can go back anytime before you start running. So I can do it kind of late. Which means that you can OS it, because anytime you have a situation like this, where pressing back will do something if it whiffs, but not if it hits, then you can build layers on top of that. I think that's cool. I think if pork players can do that, they can go for it because the opponent can always still tech. Shy Ninja asks, also this is really long Q&A. I might be going to bed soon. Just heads up. Are you going to get rid of Blue Life? It still exists in code. I remember you said you were going to do that. I want to know to see if I should do mods of that mechanic. It is very strongly discouraged. I think when I took it out, excuse me. When I took it out originally, I was confident that I was taking it out, but I didn't want to totally screw myself if I wanted to put it back in. And although code is reversible, because I think mods already existed at that point, it would have been kind of nightmarish to force all mods to abandon it and then say, oh no, you can use it again. That would be a whole thing. Blue Life is definitively out now. It is not a supported mechanic. There are mods that definitely exist that use it. I don't think I have a great answer for what to do to those mods who try to use it. And that's part of why I've kind of been putting off deleting it. But I would like to delete it. So that's my non-answer. It's kind of supported. I'm not telling you that I'm definitely going to delete it next week, or that I'm definitely not going to delete it next week, but you should be emotionally prepared for the fact that I could delete it at any time. Yeah, somewhat similar to. Well, no, because a lot of modded features I tried to be backwards compatible, or if I make changes, that's what like the version upgrade does. Remember, I'm like version 18 now, because I've made so many like backwards incompatible changes, and I try to make sure that people's mods still work. But this might be something that I might just have to completely abandon, because I don't think it belongs in the game. Just do the right thing every single time. People are saying that I got my, I figured out the OS correctly. Boo boo boo. Oh, I misread the comment. Why not keep Blue Life indefinitely as modding feature? Something that interacts with life does have its tendrils in more systems. There are certain modding features that are easy to add. Most modding features started off as like, I want to do this on my boss character. I want April Fool's Onion to have an install, so that way I know it's getting used. I'm going to give it like proper testing and support, and then players can use it. And this is something I want to explore in the future. And a lot of them, like little juggle rules, are pretty well contained, such that if I think it's a bad idea, or if I want to remove it, or if I want to add around it, it's pretty small. Life changes are, and things that like impact the UI show up in a lot of places in the code. And the longer you have dead code there, the more it rots and perhaps behaves unpredictably or in a breaking way as you add new systems. And it's just good to not leave in unused rotting code is the general idea of why I would remove it. That's why I haven't removed it yet in 2 or 3 years or whatever, because it hasn't like actively caused me issues, so I haven't needed to remove it. But it is an eyesore. And because it's not something that I'm planning to support long term in the game and would be eager to like fix bugs with, I kind of don't want it to be there. It's just support. Like, why don't they just support every version of every operating system forever? At a certain point, you just, you have to make a call on where you want to spend your effort, and if it is going to break, I'd rather just have it not be in there. I don't know. But again, it hasn't broken yet, and so I haven't done anything yet. That's sort of how I feel about it. And I think I just drank some water. I don't know if I even saw the thing. Let me just drink some water. Drink some more water. Manage the quest. Oh, long Q&A. Kerbo says, why not let us use phase? Because modders are evil? You can already make evil mods. It's a fair question. For those who don't know, phase is when you have hitboxes and hurt boxes that want to only interact with specific other hitboxes and hurt boxes, as opposed to attacks hitting everything. One such example is the fact that once you get thrown, you go into an animation. I don't want that animation to be interruptible by, say, a stray lemon or a soup. So this hitbox has the phase throw, so only throw type hitboxes can now interact with it. It will just ignore other ones like soups. And this attack then, for its follow-up animations, does throw attacks. So this hitbox has the phase throw, so it could hit that previous one, and then it resets it so that you stay in the phase. Normally you would just get kicked out of a phase as soon as you hit a game. And then it does it again here. And this time it just sets phase throw. It doesn't, this one has phase throw, it no longer sets the phase, so now you are back into a normal hitbox and you are airborne. And then you go into hard knockdown, so you don't have a hurt box. That's what phases are. They need to be in there for cutscene type things like that. and I either obfuscated it or made it impossible to access from configs. I forget. There's some things like that that sort of have underscore names, or that I leave out of mod docs, and there are things that you just simply cannot add because they're added as part of like the character building process, like throws auto-teching. The reason why, it's not necessarily that you could make evil mods, because as you say, you could just make a character with no hurt box. And then you're OP, right? And that would be like one of the ways you can abuse phase, is if you have all of your own hurt boxes be like a weird phase. I think the concern I had is, or the problem with phases, is they're kind of brittle. They are looking for like a specific string match. So if you start using phases in your mod file, they could interact or not interact with another character's mod file if just arbitrarily they used the same names as phases as you. Because it's not like an enum, it's not like a fixed thing, like you're either state A or B. It is variable, and thus it opens up the opportunity for mistakes to happen. We have this phrase with when talking about programming languages, between stuff where you have to do active memory management, like C, versus something that's garbage collected like Java. There's some old joke online about like how to shoot yourself in the foot with every language. But the point of it is that like with those lower level languages, when you are less sandboxed, when you can actively manage memory and you have to, it is a lot easier to shoot yourself in the foot. And I think phasing was something that I intentionally left off simply to remove the ability for people to shoot themselves in the foot. Like, here's this thing that you could very unintentionally totally fuck up your character with, or like create very weird bugs that you wouldn't understand, or would behaviorally, or would create bugs in specific matchup situations. And let's just avoid the whole thing. I need phases for this specific situation in the main game, but it is a sometimes food. It is a, that's not the right word. It is a specialized tool. That said, I understand, like, as a modder, why not give me all the tools? So I could have my mind changed about that, but that's why. That's why it is the way it is right now. Again, I could change my mind, but that was the original reason, the original train of logic. Set. I want phase for mod pack uses. So mod packs where you specifically design characters to interact with each other in a certain way. Yeah, so that would be a valid use case where I'd want to give you the ability to shoot yourself in the foot. Hurt box on the character that is oiled up garlic. Oh, is that the point? They're oiled up so you can't like grab a hold of them. It could be funny to have a character that's otherwise normal but just has no throw boxes. Then they're oiled up. You can hit them, but you can't throw them. You could do that. Etex says, I feel like that's not really a unique foot shooting scenario. That's fair. I might be overly dramatizing this specific feature when there's a million other ways to shoot yourself in the foot with mod files. So I might be overcomplicating it. But when I added it, I just know that at the time I was like, this is a very potentially powerful and versatile tool. And it just doesn't have guardrails the way that most other things in the engine do in terms of like you're in this state or that state. You are in hit stun or block stun. The fact that it was variable and string specific and case specific made my way of locking that down, but not wanting to fully commit to it being like an enum or something, was to just, obscure it from modding. But I could change that. That'd be a good thing to bring up during the next modding request stream. Cool. I think we're out of questions. There was a question from Table earlier about like why not just buff all the characters. And to that I say, like, I hear what you're saying. but I don't. You can buff a character by just making the numbers better. That's easy, and that can make a difference. If just Rice does 10% more damage on every hit, that's a buff. But that's not very exciting for players and can be very difficult to judge. Or you can buff by improving tools, or making an unsafe move suddenly safe, or making a minus move positive. And those can have like massive matchup implications. And that's where what you just said, I don't want to fuck with the game's balance too much. So that would be my fear. If I was like, okay, I'm going to find a way to buff Noodle that's not just increasing numbers. Okay, what if I made Trample even faster? Or what if Trample went full screen? Or what if I did something else? And I think if the characters lose too much of their weaknesses, they lose their identity, or if it gets too... This is my feeling as an outsider, as an uninformed outsider. This is a very loose take, so please don't get upset if you disagree. But whenever I would see a DBFZ patch in the last couple of years, and they would show that like now every character's crouching M went like full screen, I would just think, man, I see how that's fun for the characters who couldn't do it before, but that also kind of bums me out because it makes the characters who could do it before less special. And I don't want to create that sort of situation. Hopefully that makes sense. I think we're out of questions. I think people definitely think that they're strong. I don't think people are necessarily as frustrated with them as you, but also most people don't play at the same level that you do table. I mean, the volume of complaints is much higher on Garlic, for example. I can say that right now. If there's a character I would buff right now, purely for the vibes, it would be Pork. I want to see more Porks in top 8. Pork is a popular character, but I think he's also a character that if he was too strong, everyone would hate him. So you have to be careful with that. You don't want your hero to just turn into the villain. But I'm not convinced that the way to buff Pork is, say, making Caber 5-frame startup or increasing the range on this or that. It's difficult because I think what makes Pork not top tier is a fundamental weakness against the carbs, and I view that as an intrinsic part of his identity. And if he didn't have that weakness, then Carb's life would be miserable. It is a zero-sum game. So, hot take, beef is weaker versus the carbs. I can see that. I actually think Pork's worst match for spices. Maybe I'm out of touch. This is interesting. I'd like to learn more about it some other time because I'm very tired. I can feel myself. I can feel my spirit leaving my body on camera. So this seems like as good a time as any to call it. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and all that. Again, we will do a birthday tournament in early January. Stay tuned for details, and I will announce it during during the January State of the Game stream, which, let me just check my dates, will be, it won't be until the 7th? I don't know. I might also change the date. Closing thoughts. Let's throw the slides up for this. Where's OBS? Let the train go by. I'll say it here. I'm probably going to start winding these streams down. I'm probably going to, whether because they're just going to get replaced with Scramble Heart 1s, or even if Scramble Heart doesn't start monthly. I also am eager for rest. Or I should clarify, it's fun to do state of the games. I can't commit to the. Let me clarify. This came out wrong, but it's in the VOD. Oh well. I will continue doing state of the games up until and through the game is released. That is my promise. However, starting in the new year, I think the Tuesday night dev stream is probably dead. And the state of the game might move to a Monday or something else. I'll try to make it a consistent time. And then maybe we can phase out Tough Love and phase in Scramble Heart. And I still really see a lot of value and enjoy doing these monthly developer streams. But weekly development streams for Tough Love will end. I need a break. What should you do Tuesday dev stream bi-weekly at least? I think the dev stuff is fun to consistently there. Thank you. Yeah, I'm open to finding a different schedule, whether it's reduced frequency, bi-weekly, or once a month, or alternating or something. I might try and move it back into the daytime, like it used to be a couple years ago, because I am doing full-time game development for the next 2 years, and I'm trying to do more dev streams, but I'm also simultaneously getting really involved in this co-working space that I really, really value, and has been great for me in so many ways. So I just spend less time at my streaming desk. But either way, if I do keep up development streams, they're going to phase over to Scramble Heart. Active development for Tough Love will cease once we finish this stuff. Again, I'm still open to doing dev streams every once in a while. I'll still be supporting the monthly tournaments. There's still some like reach features I'd love to add, but I want the closure to be able to put a nice little bow on this and say we completed this thing and you have a full package experience, and then be able to really throw myself into the new game and focus on it full time. Because honestly, it's just the context switching is so difficult. To try and come back and work on this for 2 hours once a week, as anyone who has stopped by the dev stream the last couple months has seen, it's difficult to be productive in that time because of how long it takes me just to even like get up and get going again and remember where stuff is and what I'm doing in this increasingly unfamiliar code base. So again, there's still stuff I want to do for Tough Love. I'm totally open to doing something like the slide puzzle leaderboard, for example. But to me, that's a great fit for like a weekend project. I could bang that out in a weekend, add it to the game, it'd be done. It doesn't map well to 2 hours a week. 2 hours a week made sense when I was already working on it all the other nights and during the day. And I had the context, and this is just the time I commit to being in front of camera. But it doesn't make sense for me now. So, I should have put that in the slides. I should have mentioned that earlier. Apologies. Very unfocused, very, very sleepy, feeling under the weather stream. But right at the end, King Stays, welcome. You missed everything. But yeah, just want to be super clear about that. So streams, I'll do a few this month, but it will be spotty with the holidays. And then as soon as we get through the beta and we get out, which again is hopefully in the next month or two, these week development streams will cease. State of the games will go on for a little bit longer while we figure out the transition plan. And of course, I will again 100% emphasize we'll still be doing quarterly tournaments, official tournaments. I'll still be setting up matcherinos every now and then. I'll still be taking it to some offline events, and I'll still be very supportive of the scene in any way I can. I'll make sure that the game, stays online and is playable and all that forever. But it is time for the Tough Love Arena chapter to come to a close. I see myself as nearing the epilogue right now, and I want to give you all a heads up. Hopefully you come join me on the new game, but even if you don't, it's been a wonderful ride, and I'm so immensely grateful And I'm gonna have terrible hat hair, but I'm gonna take off my hat to be sincere for a moment, and just emphasize once again that, you know, I used to always say, like, Tough Love Arena is amazing, and it's been an amazing experience, and I'm so grateful to you all playing because it motivated me to keep going, and that's all still true. But so don't get me wrong, I'm not taking that back, but I need to make it 100% clear. My life that I have now, and that I've been living for the last year, and that I'm planning to live for at least the next 2 years, hopefully much longer, the ability to become a full-time video game developer and start my own mini studio and Paul Games is 100% on the back of Tough Love Arena, which wouldn't have happened without Amy and all of the wonderful free work that they did over the many years, and time that they put in, and heart that they put in, and Em and Josie and everyone else who touched the game. But again, most of all, the community. Because if people weren't playing it, I would have stopped 3 years ago. But I kept with it, and I built something that I'm really proud of. And it has opened so many doors for me and really materially changed my life. So, I'll say it here. I'll say it a million times again in the future. Thank you. Thank you sincerely. I feel very, very lucky and very touched. On that sappy note, I'll put the hat back on. Oh, it's sweaty. It's wet. Have a wonderful holiday, and I'll see you in January. Goodbye.